Day this 2024. Being a passionate community united by our dedication to women's health, we aim to establish a platform of medical exchange for students and clinicians. Our tagline, Breaking Boundaries, Building Hope, encapsulates our spirit of determination and optimism as we strive to push boundaries and create a brighter future for women's healthcare. Besides hosting today's webinar, the SIMSOG academic team proudly organizes a variety of events like Caduceus Chronicles, a platform which encourages creative submissions in the form of one-liners, poems, or snippets, Brain Busters that challenges participants with a bi-weekly OBGYN quiz on Instagram. The leaderboard is live and we look forward to seeing who tops it by month's end. Clinical Conundrums provides a platform for case presentations, offering feedback from experts and exciting prizes for the top two presenters. Don't forget to register for the next Clinical Conundrum scheduled for 15 September. SIMSOG also offers free membership, giving access to events that help enhance skills, build portfolios, and expand networks in OBGYN. From networking to advocacy, we are dedicated to shaping future leaders. We welcome on board all undergraduate and postgraduate medical and allied students, hoping you have an enlightening session. And also, I'll be sending the link in the chat box for the membership subscription so that you all can join in the end if there's anyone who hasn't subscribed yet already. So today we have with us Dr. Animesh Upadhyay, and it's our pleasure to introduce him. He is a non-US IMG from Mumbai who has matched into Obstetrics and Gynecology at Yale New Haven Hospital in 2024. With a strong interest in urogynecology and transgender medicine, Dr. Upadhyay has completed a postdoctoral research fellowship at Yale, where his work focused on patient cell lines with uterine cancer and Lynch syndrome. His journey, including securing an O1A visa and successfully navigating the highly competitive residency application process, will provide invaluable insights during today's webinar. He received his MBBS degree from Government Medical College, Kolhapur, India, and joined Yale in 2021 after completing all the USMLE steps. Beyond medicine, Dr. Upadhyay is a triathlete, a writer, and he's passionate about mentorship, believing it to be the key in helping future medical professionals succeed. So thank you for joining, Dr. Upadhyay. We are so happy to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me. Am I audible?
Yes.
Great. Yeah, thank you for like asking me to be a part of this thing because it's quite like unlikely these days to see people pursuing something that's not the norm. And I'm so sorry if I seem tired, if I'm speaking in a different way. I just finished like my 30-hour call right now, and I'm still in the hospital. So I'll be going home to sleep after this. But yeah, so I'm really happy that the whole team from SIMSOG, like they got in touch with me and they asked me to be a part of this thing, which is really, really important and special to me because I didn't have anybody when I was applying. Maybe like one person who could like mentor me, but otherwise I had nobody, like a group of people, because it's difficult to envision something like this if you only have one person ahead of you. If you have a group of people supporting you, then it becomes a little easier to believe in yourself, because it's a very weird path that is full of self-doubt, because it's so unlikely to get into these specialties these days. So but yeah, in the end, it's like it's a gamble that you have to take for your own career, because I was not happy in medicine, like internal medicine, and I know that I wouldn't have been happy doing that for the rest of my life. So I found my calling pretty at a good time, I would say, and here I am. So, how do you want to do this? Do you want to ask questions? Do I just go like just have a story? I'm sorry, I couldn't prepare. It's a really busy week, but yeah.
No, it's absolutely fine. We understand. So we have a basic set of standard questions that usually, everybody wants to know. So we will be
Mhm.
starting with those, and then we had sent out forms so that everybody else could, pitch in what questions they want to ask. So in the end, we
Awesome.
have
Yeah.
a set of 10 questions that we would take up after
Mm.
this is over. Okay.
Sure.
So I would like to begin by asking you to like introduce yourself in terms of your credentials, like the step one scores and everything. Step two
Huh.
scores.
Okay. Sure. No, step one score. I gave it when there was step one score.
Oh,
So yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. So, but yeah. Okay. Sure. So yeah. Hi everyone. I'm Animesh Upadhyay. I finished my medical school in GMC Kolhapur from 2013 to 2020 January, I suppose. Then I worked for at least 8 to 9 months in a government hospital in Mumbai, working with pulmonary patients, like basically chest medicine, pulmonary medicine, and tuberculosis. Um, that time I was preparing for my steps, and I gave my step one during that time and two. So basically, I gave step one and step two in 1 year. 6 months for step one, 4 months, 4 months for step two while working in the hospital. And I remember like my score for step one was more than 250s, and my score for step two CK was more than 240s. And I gave CS when I was in medicine, when I was in my medical school. I came to the US, did my electives that time. All my electives were in internal medicine because at that point I couldn't comprehend or believing that I could do OBGYN. So I just did 3 months of electives in medicine, mostly from Mount Sinai and MSK. After that, I gave my CS in Houston, came to India, then I finished my med school. In the end, I went to London for a research fellowship as well for like just 2 months. So that was pretty helpful because I made good connections. I had good exposure of research. And then from there, I came back to India. Digressing, I was diagnosed with a bone tumor when I came back from the trip to London, and that actually put me back like 4 months behind because surgeries and then therapies and then medications that took some time off my career, which is obviously fine. Then I went back to med school, finished med school. So my batch left 2019 in March. I left in January of the next year. So I was alone working with the juniors of my class, of my school, of my med school. And then I, sorry, then I came back home, worked a job, did my step one, did my step two CK. Then I applied for a position for research because it was COVID times. It was really hard to get a position. So this one question I'm sure is going to come my way in a couple of minutes. I would say how to secure a research position. There is no secret for that. It's literally cold emailing and your luck. I applied to, I even have those emails right now, like 355 emails across the country to postdocs, to like the labs, and these are all OBGYNs and the PDs who have labs. Basically, any program that has a lab that takes people, I would apply over there. And as it is COVID, nobody like replied back to me because it, a foreign national has COVID. What if like it spreads to the US as well? So they won't take you. But I got little lucky, I would say, in the end, and I finally I secured 4 interviews from Mount Sinai. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm sleepy. From Yale, Harvard, Mayo Clinic, and Baylor. And these are, I would say, good places because they have bigger labs. Like there are many good places in this country, but anywhere which is a lab funded place, they will take you. They would consider you. So applying smartly makes more sense. So after those 4 interviews, they actually asked me a lot of like I would say drilling questions about like why and what's your idea of research, what's your area of interest. So basically coming up with your own idea, not like I would say like a full blown idea for research, but any interest in this something that you want to explore is taken seriously in these conversations. And then I had to choose between these places. Then I chose Yale because one of my friend was over here before. I'm like, it's a cheap city. It's close to New York City. I have friends over here, so why not? And so I then chose Yale after that. So and then I did my postdoctoral research fellowship over here for 1.5 years, and that was mostly bench research. So I was working with mice, tissues, cells, and mostly in gynecology, oncology. So just cancer of the uterus, ovary, and the vagina. But my area was mostly in uterine serous carcinoma. It is quite rare in the US. Uh, People die of it every year. So pretty cool stuff. A very steep learning curve because It's like you don't know about those basic science like methods, right? You don't know about ELISAs, PCRs, flow cytometry, Western blots. So you will be taught that only once, and then it's just you in the lab working with people. So it is daunting, but definitely worth it. So, but yeah, so then that's why I did my stint over here at Yale Research, and then applied for my residency. So I want to stop right here and let you ask a few more questions.
All right. Okay. So that was a really good summary of your journey. And I hope you're doing fine now with your health. Okay.
Yeah.
So our first question is, what challenges did you face during your preclinical and clinical years, and how did you overcome them?
So by preclinical, you mean in med school?
Yes, like med school, and then the 8 months of like internship that you had after med school, like that one as a JR-ship. Yes.
Understood. So you want to say like, how did I deal with that? How did I deal with the
Yes,
hardships?
yes. What
Uh,
challenges did you face during that time in terms of like US residency and like entire the journey of USMLE? So, and how did you overcome it?
Sure. Yeah. Honestly, my story is I think so. Like any other IMG out there, is pretty daunting, scary, and like I don't know. I've heard people tell me that if they were in my shoes, they would have given up long time ago. It just shows that how scary it was for me at that time. And like for example, just getting this job of like just being a postdoctoral fellow in the US is so scary and so hard to get into. Like that, while working in a hospital in India, let's say making like overworking you, paying you less. You can't study because you work a lot so much on the hospital every day. So you're seeing that your life is flying away. It's so fleeting. And despite that, finding positions, emailing every day, reading papers every day, working on research every day, that was like a very tough thing. And because it's like if you think about like okay, if it's a 1 month thing, it's totally fine. But then if it's indefinite, for me it was like 8 months or more. I was lucky it was only 8 to 9 months, and I could just move on from there. For people, it's years sometimes. So that fear that I will be stuck in this position for months, and I don't know how many years or months I'll be here. So that was a very tough thing to wake up to every day and be cheerful and optimistic. Like no, it's okay. It's gonna work out in the end eventually. Just keep on working hard, and it'll come to you. So that hopeless or annoying optimism that comes from my mom and my family was really important. That's why having your support system is extremely important in that time because you are literally just nowhere because you don't know where to go and where will life take you. So having faith is really important. So yeah, that one point was really tough for me to go through was the uncertainty. Then coming in the US, you're happy, like you have made it to the US as a research fellow. You're working already. You're having some fun. You're like learning cool science and good research. Your work is actually could change the world. It makes you hopeful, but then there'll be days where things won't work out. So like, that's one of the challenges that I faced, where I actually was extremely annoyed because working in basic science means that you do an experiment at least 50 times to get what you want in the end. So me cribbing to my boss and like my PI, like, why isn't this not working and why can't we just get the result that we want? And that frustration because you won't get a paper published, you won't see science happening in front of you. Your work means nonsense that time. So that is very frustrating. At that point, one would think, like we as IMGs, when we apply, we want outcomes faster because when we apply, we need things on our CV to show that we are worthy to be in the US. And if the experiments don't work out, then what? Then you have no outcome, and then the fear sets in that, oh no, now this just didn't work out. So now next what? Will this affect my publication, my papers, my conference meetings, my presentations? And if I don't match in the end, so your mind goes towards that because we all of us will have an end goal. I don't know about people who are in India applying for US MLE or not, but any MLE aspirant thinks about that thing all the time. Like their goal has to match the end goal of matching in the US. So that is very scary. And again, at that time, friends, family, extremely important. Now, also, I would say belief in yourself, right? It will work out. Like that, the self-talk is so important. People don't do that these days, but it's extremely important, and you should not negate that. That's one of the hardships that I faced. And then, actually, going back a little bit to my med school, one thing I remember being extremely pissed about and talking to my friends a lot was that how being in a government college in Kolhapur, which is a little further away from Mumbai, you have lesser opportunities. Like even today, if you see the number of applicants coming from KEM or Nair or Sion are literally 3x more than Kolhapur applicants, just because it's in a different city. So I think so. Thankfully, I thank myself and my friends that time that we took the initiative to go out of a comfort zone, present posters, research, do things out of our zone to build a name for ourselves, do research very early on in life, so that we know that the world outside is going at Mumbai space and not at Kolhapur space. So the whole point being that wherever you are in this whole country, in India or in the US, making the most of it for yourself is very important. Things won't come to you, things won't happen to you. You have to make it happen. I remember in my third year, in my second year, I used to go to SKNMC, Pune, Mumbai, all the every weekend to present something or the other, be it like a essay competition, be it like a case presentation, but something or the other was happening all the time. Unlike my other peers, the majority of my class in Kolhapur didn't do anything. But I and my friends who were MLE aspirants thought this would actually help our career, also help us, because we fell in love with the process of presentations, like going on stage, giving talks, like that's pretty important. It's a very big skill because in the US, you'll be like left alone over here to talk to patients, people, crowd, nursing staff, faculties, which is daunting for us because we come from a different country that doesn't speak that language all the time. So those things build character for sure. So again, point being, wherever you are, making the most for yourself is really important, and not giving up because things don't work out in the place you are in. It has to work out for you, and you have to make it happen to yourself. So I know it sounds like a cliche, but it actually was my thought process when I was applying or when I was working in India or in the US. Lastly, I think so the toughest thing in my life that I've faced so far is a visa issue. The visa issue is so scary in the US that it will actually make or break a career. You will have everything that you want, and the visa will just not work in the favor, and then you go back to India and, start, and do all over again the whole process. Um, yeah, like so, as you mentioned about my O1, the O1 visa stands for Extraordinary Ability Visa, which basically means that I have to prove to the US government that I am a little important for the country. It's kind of funny because I have to show that my services are. Um, it's funny because as an OBGYN, it's basically, I remember in my letter, they also mentioned that like American women as patients, need Dr. Upadhyay services, as a physician in the US. And and my letters coming from people who are extremely higher up in the hierarchy, the embassy takes it very seriously. So the O1 was so scary because it's very hard to get it in the first place. And it was a new thing for me because it's very weird. I don't know about how many people over here are applying for USMLE, but if you're applying for OBGYN USMLE in the US, I would think twice before applying to Yale because you can, as an Indian, you can only work on an O1 visa at the Yale Hospital. H1B and J1 won't work for you. You have to get O1 for that. It's because of many rules that we didn't know because there has never been an Indian at Yale in OBGYN. So this rule was new to me as well. And when I matched, I was really happy that I'm going to be at Yale. This is a great program for OBGYN. I love it. But as soon as I matched, I was told that I need to secure my visa. And I was on J1 before working in a lab doing research. It's funny because ECFMG does not grant J1 visa for prelim OBGYN applicants. So I matched OBGYN prelim at Yale, and that's the only way Yale will hire an IMG is in a prelim spot. So any other Indian or I would say South Asian, if they match into Yale for OBGYN, you will match only into a prelim spot. ECFMG does not sponsor the prelim spot for you. So J1 is out of the question. Once you are on J1 before working as a lab person or working in a lab, working as a researcher, you will not get the H-1B visa because of the 212E home country rule, which basically means that the government of India has to give me a no objection certificate to say that this person has cleared all his dues in this country and he can be allowed to work in a different country. Why won't India give it to us? India is being smart. It wants to avoid brain drain. So it would not give it to us. So it gives to everybody who has a J1 and wants to go to H1B or a green card. It gives a waiver or NOC to everybody except doctors. It's there on the website, which nobody knew. Only like people know, but when you're on J1 going to O1, it is very scary because J1 is called as a jail visa. It never leaves you. It's a trap, honestly. So because of that reason, I could not get H1B because my government won't waive it off for me, like the visa process, the whole rule. So now I can't work on H1B. I can't work on J1. The only way I can work at Yale in the US and not let my match go is through O1. The lawyers over here at Yale were like it's pretty early on in my career to apply for O1. I'm not that experienced. I'm not that famous in my field to get the O1, so it seems dicey. So hiring a lawyer, the whole process of our application, the whole month of getting letters from people, like it was very daunting and very intense. And in the end, it worked out. I'm here. I spent 1.5, 2 years at Yale as an OBGYN. So there's a high chance. And if it does not, then you have to let the match go and you have to go back to your home country and apply all over again the next year. That's J1. So there are no H1B in the nine, only. So these things people won't even comprehend at the point of your life. If you're at school right now, you will not give a hoot about this, what's happening. Once you're actually going ahead and in the process, you would realize it's so messed up that you need to plan very importantly how to go about your future. But again, it does sound a little confusing. Obviously, if somebody's applying, you can obviously email and I can just answer a few questions, yes or no, and help you out. But yeah, it's very intense, and that was the hardest part of my life. And at that point, nothing here, no family, no because no self-talk could keep me sane because it was so scary. Because I had to like let my match go in the end, but luckily it didn't happen. So that was really scary for me.
Okay, all right. So you mentioned that you planned to take up internal medicine and then there was a switch to OBGYN. So why did you feel that, OBGYN was it for you, and like what are the reasons for you to change your specialty?
Yeah, that's easy to explain. I was when I went to for my lectures, I finally just started time actually went to medicine. Medicine seems it's fine, that is diagnostic to think about working in like my service or like my clerkship in OBGYN in my med school. I remember like I spent 2 months, half months, extremely painful, extremely intense, the work and chaos, and that drew me to my field, my OBGYN field. Like I found my calling that loved juggling between tasks, just enjoying my work in the process. But the
Sorry, interrupt. Your voice is
chaos and the
breaking.
fluidity. Okay, let me. Am I audible right now?
Yes, yes.
Great. Okay. So as I was saying that I mentioned about medicine. Yes, I love medicine. The thing is, I love OB/GYN because I like the dynamic and the chaos that comes with it. It's like it's never resting. It's like always changing all the time, And it's like I like that. I can't be in one place because in the US, if you're in medicine, you're literally at your desk and typing notes, calling consults, and thinking, which is great. That's fun, but it is not meant for me. I don't find it very interesting. I don't find it attractive. And apart from this, OBGYN for me is a very sacred field. Like, like if you think about it that way, you are in a way delivering life and you're helping women understand their own body, being aware of what's happening to them. And in India, it's very, very difficult for Indian women because India still is very agrarian, it's very rural. In the US, it's a bit different, but my idea of my love towards OBGYN came from that whole setup that women are unaware and they need help. They need people who can teach them about their own bodies and their hygiene, all those things. And like, if you think about this, everybody right now in this platform who's live, I'm sure your mom has told you about her OB when they delivered you guys that time. And if you can imagine, like the power of being in somebody's story for the rest of your life is, I think so, is amazing. So if I can be that one person who is giving somebody an amazing experience of childbirth, and then they telling like, oh yeah, I had one Indian doctor who was taking care of me, and he delivered you. That's like I think so. That's the best thing that can happen to us. So like that's one thing. Like we live forever, and it's so rewarding. So yeah, so I just that's the main reason, and the ability that women or patients, I would say, can confide in me emotionally. I just feel that I'm a very emotional person, and that's why OBGYN suits my nature because I love when we can share and talk about feelings and emotions. That doesn't happen in many other specialties because it's very like, you see one patient, he or she, and then you move to the next one. Over here, you have like care that goes on for a long time. Not as a resident, but as an attending, as a faculty, you will see your patients very frequently and build a bond with them, which is amazing. So for these many reasons, I love OBGYN more than medicine.
Okay, that's great. I think all of us here are so passionate about OBGYN that we really, really understand where that passion is coming from. Okay, so what about the electives? Like, how did you plan your electives and how many USC did you have and were they unpaid or paid? Could you like talk about them a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. So I had so yeah, that's a good question. So for my medicine electives, I had three medicine electives as I mentioned. For OBGYN, I had two OBGYN electives in the end when I was applying. And one research thing that happened in OBGYN in London as well, and also in the US. So in totality, when I was applying, I had like seven letters from people I worked with, uh, three, four from medicine, two from OBGYN, one as a research, like my PI wrote for me. So I would say like a decent number of letters, four OB and three internal medicine was my number in the end. About my USCs, so again, as I mentioned, three USCs were like obviously paid. At that time, it was things have changed now, but at that time when I went in 2018, I we had to pay the application fee, and it's a gamble. Like people will take you, people won't take you, and you will lose the money. But then luckily I got in like at Mount Sinai and then MSK, and they were in medicine. I had to pay for it for every month. MSK was free because it was through a contact, so that wasn't that expensive. Like obviously free, just a basic application fee, but not the actual fee that Mount Sinai or other places take from you. So that those three. Then I spent one. I actually was at Yale, and I was actually stressed about not finding an OBGYN mentor for a letter. So I went out of my way. I approached people at the hospitals near my hospital, Yale, Bridgeport, and all those places. And finally, over there was one attending who was like, sure, she would take me for an observership. So that's how I managed to get one letter from her as well. I spent a month in again oncology, and that was really helpful because this person uh, helped me a lot. She taught me a lot on the floor. I was in the OR the whole day with her. That was good teaching, and her letter was extremely helpful as well. So one was that, and that was also same thing, just the application fee, no massive amount of money that they asked for. And lastly, I found an elective for myself in Oklahoma City That was an OBGYN as well. Yeah, now actually we are very close. Me and the person who uh, takes students for their observership slash elective is a close friend of mine now. So we are trying to help people get like a like a nice quality based elective slash observership with him in Oklahoma, and he's a urogynecologist. One of the reasons I want to pursue that field is because of him. So he is a great mentor to me as well. And this all happened after I spent a month with him, and I paid the whole fee. He just charges some amount of money, but it's like it's kind of better because I have heard about these USMLE, Sarthi, and all this many different agencies coming up these days, and they charge a bomb. And when they do, they actually just like send 10 people in one day, in one week for the same thing, and there's no learning happening. It's only to make money, as per my personal opinion. I could be wrong, but it's like from people who have been there and given the feedback. But this guy, he does not take more than 1 or 2 people in a month and teaches them and like takes them in the OR and helps them out really, like in I would say completion to uh, make their experience a good experience in general. And so I would honestly, if people want to go for observerships, you can let me know, and I can navigate this whole thing, and then maybe hopefully secure a spot for you as well for a month and spend time with him as a Euro guy. And it's pretty cool. So yeah.
Okay, so all the electives that you pursued, like, were they during med school, like during the years of your med school, like before you graduated, right?
Uh, those three in medicine, yes, but the two in OBGYN was after I finished med school.
Okay, so how did you did you take off from med school? Was attendance an issue, or like how was that?
Um, so attendance was an issue, so I had to miss my college. So if you know in government colleges, if you miss the number of days, you have to do it in the end of it, right? So I missed 3.5, 3 months. So I had to do those 3 months in the end. So like that, because I've been marked absent the entire time in the hospital. I haven't come to the clinic or something like that. So then they will not um, accept me, and then they'll make me do it in the end of the whole year, like that. So
Okay. And like when you're rotating, like you for the electives, how do you make like a lasting impression? Because nobody wants a generalized LOR. Everybody wants like a personalized LOR so that that stands out during interviews. So how do you make that impression with your PD?
that's a that's a really good question because I have seen so many of my friends struggle with this one thing, and even I did at first. But the thing is that you have to push yourself, like push your boundaries, push your comfort zone because you would come to this country, you'll be sheltered, you'll be quiet, you'll be a little humble, and you'll be comfortable. You won't talk, speak up, no. But it's extremely important to make the person know who works with you that you exist, and that can be through multiple factors out there. Like this can happen. For example, I would say if you're I was rounding with people in Mount Sinai, like many years ago, 6 years ago now, and I was there were like three people with me. So how can I make myself stand out like that? So if you know what they want to teach you the next day or what the patients are having, and you read a few papers and you read a few diseases and you read a few basic anatomy, that can actually help you a lot because when you ask questions, you have to be a little street smart. You have to plan your questions that way that you know the answers already. So when they ask you, you already know what you want to say, and they get really impressed. So it's like basically asking questions is one way to be known, but not harassing them with questions. I've also seen people asking for the heck of asking, which is not appropriate. They would remember you for the wrong reasons, so we don't want that. um, but yeah, it's like you have to uh, like ask questions, ask good questions, and I honestly remember like reading at least one paper a day and quoting a few numbers and lines on the paper and asking what they thought about it. So when they know that this guy, this random boy from India is reading papers and is asking us questions from those papers, and others are not, so that puts you a little above everybody else on the same floor, which is great because then you are seen, and then that hard work can't stop. You have to do it every single day until you're there in the hospital. You have to go your extra mile, ask questions when they are when things are over, when you're walking away. And also, see, one thing people don't think about is like you don't need to be a nerd or don't need to be somebody who just studies all the time to make an impression. You also have to be a human being. You also have to have a social life. So asking them, like, hey, like let's talk over coffee, in the hospital itself, or hey, like, hey, let's go out for drinks over the weekend, like all of us, and just like make some social plans to make them see that you exist even socially, and what are you as a person outside of work as well. Because in the end, I remember this very one line that my mentor told me, that nobody wants to work with somebody who is extremely good at a job but is a bad team worker or a bad social person or a bad person in general. Like, they want somebody who they can work with and be comfortable with for the next 4 to 5 years of the residency. So they won't take you if you have like amazing scores everywhere and good publications, but you're a very subpar human being in many ways. Not like a bad person, but a subpar human being socially. Does not have characters, all those things. So those things are actually also very important, along with having a decent score or being a smart person. So that is one thing that I've observed while working in the US. Apart from this, yeah, one thing is asking questions, quoting papers is really one thing that people over here appreciate. So I did that as well. And then, I remember like I used to present at least something every third day. Like I would come up with my own idea, like not idea, like one paper that I'm actually interested in, and make a small, like a 10 uh, slide PowerPoint, and just talk about that. Like, hey guys, I've got this something I was like reading upon for the past couple of weeks and weekend, and I want to just like talk about this to all of you all. I made a small PowerPoint. Would you just like listen to me and give me your feedback? That's it. Even once a week is totally fine, but the effort that I've taken of to explain something really important and something that actually excites you, people see that and they appreciate it, and then that's one of the way you can be seen amongst many people. And I remember like all those electives and observerships, in the end you have to or you should present one topic to your attending, the main guy who's taking care of you, who's like, taking you around. So then they know that you have some vocational skills, and people appreciate that because obviously like this, they think that this person reads up, he has good skills to present as well, and they will take you, consider you in the program eventually. So those things affect in the long run. You won't see the outcomes immediately, but it's a good practice to have everywhere you go in life, actually.
Okay, all right. Now there's this question which I think would be the most asked. How many research publications did you have? And for like OBGYN, is there any specific number that we should be targeting or like to strengthen our application? And also like how do you get into meaningful research while you're in med school so that in the end you have a like good number to show and also quality work that you have done?
Yeah, so that's one thing that I've learned being in the US is that two things matter. First is number of publications, and next thing is how many first or the like papers you have. It's it's okay at this level if you don't have first author publications, which is obviously difficult because we are like still learning medicine and science, and coming from India, we don't have much experience. But I would say the number also matters a lot because it increases your application's size, and they love that apparently. They like that your application is big, is like has meaningful stuff, but has also like big in number because you have taken the hours of the day and like spent time building this application while working on different like research like projects. So like basically publishing in small journals is totally fine if you have more of them, right? If you have like one big journal like publication in Nature, then you're sort then you're like done. But if you have like a paper in a small journal, I would say more the better because they see the bulk of it. They see more number of it, like that. And then also like presenting those things is also extremely important because they see that how, okay, like this guy or girl has done this work in this research. It's great. Has he or she ever presented his own work in a conference? Beat any conference. People think it has to be internationally. It is good if you have international experiences, but it's also okay if you present your own work in a small conference, be it anywhere, India or outside. So that is one thing that I've noticed while being over here, that it is very important to showcase your work to people outside. So that's one thing that I would like suggest to people. Apart from this, what is the next question actually after that?
Like how many? Like you said more, but like
Oh yeah,
any
yeah.
range?
There's honestly no range. I would say like 5 to 10, 10 to 12, 15. That's honestly there's no range. Uh, I'll just tell you how many I had when I was applying. I had like at least three in the works that time. So this comes under one of the tabs in ERAS before that, like in review or like, in process, like that thing, or like submitted already. And the ones that were published were at least like, maybe 27, 30 in my case. So that, and the thing is, it doesn't need to be just what do you say, like in medicine only. Like people think like it has to be medicine only OBGYN. No, it can be pan medicine. Anywhere is fine. As I mentioned, numbers matter, not the area. Because if you think about it, how can somebody who's in first year or second year med school love OBGYN from the start and only have papers in OBGYN since their second year? It's impossible. So they would be okay to see that you work also outside of OBGYN as well, and that's really appreciated. Next thing would be, even if you have any published articles on that's not like medicine based, like I had at least 12 of them that is not medicine based. They even appreciate that because that was asked in my interviews. Like they actually went across my application. They asked me about the one particular thing that I did for a non-profit, and how it helped me, and how it's basically about climate change. It's completely different, but I believe in it solely. And I have published like 12 articles online on that. And then they asked me like, why this, and talk more about this and tell me like why do you believe in it. And I told them like, how I believe in climate change. It's like it's a real thing. It's happening. Sorry. It's a real thing. It's happening, and I believe in it. And that's why I've been writing for this one nonprofit for the past, I would say, 5 to 6 years. And they published my work, and they liked my work. That in the end they made me their guest editor. So it's a good thing to like have things even outside of medicine, because they appreciate that you take the effort to do things that's not in OB/GYN only. So it doesn't need to be publications just in medicine. Go outside, explore, write for some newsletter, write for some other journal, if you want to. Think about that. Have your own blog, who knows? Even that considered as a published article as well. Because it is online, it is published online for people to read, open access. So then that's fine. Obviously here it has less credibility than a paper, but it is something. It is adding bulk to application. It is actually showcasing your character and what you do outside of work.
Okay. So like during your interviewing period, like the entire, how many interviews did you bag, and like what advice would you like to give to all the IMGs who are preparing for USMLE? What is the key to be at your best during your interview, and what questions you should be prepared to answer?
Uh, uh, okay, that's a yeah, that's normally like a whole different conversation of how to prepare and stuff like that. But if you're asking like how to stand out in the interviews, then you obviously back to square one. You ask questions. You ask questions during the virtual tour of the hospital. You make them know that you exist by asking questions in a way, not for uh like not asking like weird questions, but something that actually is meaningful and that makes sense. But yeah, so it's honestly, hmm. So yeah, so basically, if you want to ask questions in interviews, you need to ask about. There's one thing that I follow: asking a question for a resident, asking a question for an attending, and asking a question for yourself. These three things I was following in every interview, and I actually worked really well because it makes them think about the program, about you, that you are thinking about it very seriously because you are asking questions particularly for these three entities only. And they actually, I think so, they like it because I remember asking one of the PDs that in the interview that what do you think is one of the shortcomings of your program? And then they got a little startled, they got a little shocked, like why would somebody, an applicant, ask like what's bad in the program, like that. But it actually is a good question because it puts them on the spot to think about an answer. And they actually, honestly, the only reason I'm telling you this is because I was told it's a good question. That's why it could have easily backfired. but it did not. So that. But yeah, so like I have my list of questions prepared from the past 2 years. I can also like share with you guys as well, and you can go over it when you're applying and when you're like, having interviews. But I remember this one thing. I have applied to 170 programs when I was applying for OBGYN, and there are a total of 288 programs at least 1 year ago. Amongst those 288 programs, there are less than half that take IMGs. I went a little overboard and did 170 because I thought I have a good application. Clearly, I did not. Because in the end, they don't give IMGs a chance to match. That's the sad reality, and you need to be a little out there to like get a spot, you know. So I got 6 interviews in the end after my 170 applications sent off, like sent out to. And after that, the 6 interviews they were actually pretty good. I didn't have any bad interview. Like they all liked me, and they all almost promised me that they were gonna rank me first. So I had a good interview, and I almost believe that I have a good interview style as well. So I was really happy with what I had like made of myself, because I used to practice in the mirror with myself, my family before I went for interviews. But but yeah, that's one thing that I would recommend is a number of 150 to 170 is a good number to apply to. Definitely it needs homework. I spent 3 to 4 months building my own list of programs where they take IMGs and where they I have a higher chance of matching. So that list takes time to build. So prepare wisely, obviously, and apply to the entire East Coast, because there are programs over there that take IMGs than the West Coast. I would say applying to the West Coast is a waste of time because they will not take you no matter what. They take faculty members and fellows who are like IMGs, but not residents. They do not for sure. So that should save you some money as well. Apart from that, yeah, so 170 gave me 6 interviews. My friends over here who are my classmates, they applied to 20 programs, got 10 interviews or 12 interviews, which is a different thing because they are American, that's why. But that's one thing there is some bias, but it's so worth it. It is definitely worth it to do all these things and come across being an OBGYN in the US. It feels really good. It feels really good. Yeah.
So postdoctoral research fellowship, as you mentioned earlier, like, is it really important or necessary to enhance your, you know, CV and everything, like, because of how challenging and competitive OBGYN is? So, do you really need postdoctoral research fellowship?
I think so you do. I'm sorry. Yeah. I haven't met so far anybody who hasn't spent time doing a research year before applying for any, not even OBGYN, any competitive specialty. They have all done research years, be it 1 year, be it 1.5, 2 years, 3 years. I've seen people spend 5 years, 7 years before they apply for the main job, like the main program. So it is, I think so. It's a must, and you need to basically secure it as soon as you can and just work over here. You can always do an MBA, MPH, a PhD, or whatever it is in between to build an application, or like like a public health degree. All those things, they also actually help you a lot. But a research year is better because it actually gives you publications in the end and teaches you about science and research and baseline. So you would actually benefit more in a research year or like a program versus MBA, PhDs, and the public health course, all those things. Yeah, but they do actually help application for sure. They do.
Okay, so the last question that we have for today is, what message would you like to share with all the IMGs who believe that securing OBGYN residency is unattainable? I know it's really challenging, but like, you are a strength of inspiration, and we've seen you all out there, you know, with all the interviews and webinars that you do. So we really want to know that, is it really that difficult? Should we try? And what message do you want to give to all of us?
Yeah, sure. So I don't know. I want to just start from the end. I would say just don't give up. It's it's so so hard. Like this is a very tough process, and you just are so lonely, and nobody's understanding you because it's a path that nobody takes, and that's what is scary. So yeah, it is hard to get into. Like OBGYN is getting harder and harder, and if you go by the numbers, it's even scarier because NRMP like has their information out there all the time. And when I was applying, only 2.5% of people matched in OBGYN who are IMGs across the country. Last year there was 2.6%, actually 3.2% of people who matched into OBGYN who are IMGs. But the number is literally less than 5%, less than 4%, less than 3% chance of matching an OBGYN. So it is hard. I would say giving it all, planning strategies, that's very, very important, that you have to like think about how you're going to approach this massive task of matching into OBGYN. It has to start from a little way before, not at a level like that you're about to apply. Okay, so let's apply this year to OBGYN. I don't know why. I've met a few people last year or even this year who didn't do anything in OBGYN and just applied. And I was asking that what was their rationale in applying for that without any history in OBGYN in any way, in research or anything else. And they just thought that based on scores and stuff, they will match into it. And I was like, and it's it's a good thought. If it happens, it's amazing. It'll be great for everybody. But sadly, it does not work like that in the US. It's very hard to get a job like this. And research here can definitely help you. But one thing, uh, everything comes secondary. Obviously, first is your mental health. If you are able to take this, if you're able to push through this emotional phase of your life and envision yourself in the end being somebody else like altogether, then definitely you should give it your all and try. It's worth a gamble. It's definitely worth a gamble. But don't be like me. I was stupid. I applied to just OBGYN 170 programs and no backup. People apply normally to OB and IM at the, or like OB and pathology, OB and family medicine together as a backup. I didn't do that. I was stupid. Have a backup, please. But yeah, if you're okay with being uh, going through this whole phase of being alone and working hard, then I think so you should pursue your dreams. You should pursue OBGYN because it's a great specialty, and the training over here is a bit too good, honestly. It's unlike what we have seen anywhere, in the world or even in India, actually. You would not believe what the things that we're doing over here. And there's no shame to Indian OBGYNs. I would love to be an Indian OBGYN as well, but it's just like the work is too intense and they do things a bit differently over there than in the US. So, and I personally chose to train like this. Obviously, all my friends who are ladies in India are all OBGYNs, and they tell me what's happening over there as well. So, I chose to be over here. It's my personal choice. But I would again like just reiterate that uh, just don't just don't stop believing in this thing. Just don't stop believing in yourself and your dreams just because you have a few shortcomings and the path seems a bit long and difficult. It's definitely worth a shot because if you are on the other side, it just feels extremely good. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on why you should follow your dream, like any other cliched speaker out there.
Okay. You mentioned about having a backup, like with family medicine or any other specialty, but with residency tests coming up from 2025. So, what are your thoughts on it? Like, we have to apply separately for OBGYN and on residency CAS, and then ERA's application separately. So, you'll have to pay twice. So, what should I plan?
I actually don't know the fee structure of the CAS program for OBGYN. Like I don't know how expensive it is. I just like it's I think it's okay because the number of programs are gonna increase, right? Basically, you're gonna apply to IM in ERAS and OB in CAS, and the cost would be like the same, I would say, in the end. Because again, I could be wrong. I don't know how expensive CAS is, but I know like they upped the price for ERAS this year that I know about. So. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
It's,
All right.
it's very, it's actually very expensive. I know that's why I was like, I have no money. I can only apply to one field. I love this field. I can't think of myself being an internal medicine doctor. So all my money went into OBGYN. That's it.
Right. So we have a few audience questions that we are going to take up.
Sure.
So first is which country is better for pursuing OBGYN residency and why? Like,
Which country? So it's funny because one of my close friends over here, she is from the UK, and she finished her UK, like the whole training in OBGYN in the UK. So I have that as a reference. I have India and I have the US as a reference. Um, this is not fair. It's not a good question because every country has their own ups and downs and their own reasons and not. The healthcare in the US is a little more complex than what we think. Against it, in India, you have different issues that happen. It's not right, it's not safe, it's not just, it's not guideline based, and all those things. So that is the different things in India. And in the UK, there's no training out there. Like they are advancing so fast that all the basic skills of OBGYN are like disappearing in the UK. So all the different things, all the different countries have their own issues. So I don't know how to answer that question for you, honestly.
all right. So somebody has asked that in which year should we be taking the USMLE steps in the university, like while in MBA?
Huh. That's a very old question, honestly. I also ask this question to my seniors all the time. I would say final year or third year. Yeah, end
Okay.
of third year. Yeah, for sure. Because all the people in KN do that, and that's one of the ways that you should do it. Yeah,
Okay. And importance of volunteering and workshops in matching into residency.
very important. Extremely important. Holistic applications only, not just node based applications. It's a big red flag if you're only smart and you have no voluntary skill. I have spent so many hours working in a soup kitchen, working in a cafe, working in a clinic over here in New Haven, also in India, working with NGOs in the US. um, and yeah, like those things are extremely important. They want to see how, because these things build character and they build an individual. It'll make I would say it'll make a man out of a boy, and you would definitely need that. So they take it very seriously if you have done some voluntary work, for sure.
Okay. Um, did the Maharashtra bond pose any difficulty in your journey?
No, I had to break the bond. That's fine. I
And
broke the bond. Yeah.
somebody has asked scope for homeopaths, especially in OBGYN in foreign countries.
um, they can do it. That will do the same thing that we do. Give the USMLEs, have research background, do the same thing that we do, and apply. Yeah, they have a fair shot.
Okay. Is there any other way to work as OBGYN after residency in India instead of going through residency again in the US?
Wait, I'm confused. You mean to
Yeah.
say people? Yeah,
There's somebody's asked like, uh, is there any other way to work as OBGYN after residency in India? Like instead of going through like maybe that do you have to do do you have to do
two
PG before
residencies.
that? Right. Do
Yeah.
residency.
So yes, you have to. Like if the question is that if you have to like repeat your residency in the US after being a resident in India, the answer is yes. You have to repeat the residency all over again.
And also that we've heard that they want, fresh graduates. So somebody has also asked, what would you say is an ideal timeline considering all the complications and intricacies that you just mentioned?
I would say less than 5 years of IOG, 5 to 6 years of IOG for sure. Yeah.
Okay. And people say that it takes a lot of time to settle in the US. So can you please comment on that? And also as like how do you like once you get into your residency, like how much time do you take to finally settle in as a resident in OBGYN? That's the question.
Yeah, that's a good question. As an IMG who has not worked in Epic, one of the EMR website like softwares over here in the US, it would be a struggle for you for a couple of weeks, I would say months, to get used to the whole system that everybody faces, which is okay. You won't be the one who's alone or lost. Definitely, people will help you, but that takes some settling. Other kind of settling that I've seen is that you come to a new country, it's a very different cultural exchange, things happening over here for you, and it's also like like I have actually have list 2 or 3 friends who came to the US, did their elective, all those things, and then were applying, and then in the end they cannot live like this in the US alone. They will be extremely sad and depressed, and they just left family altogether, went to India and did PG over there. So that's one thing that you should be aware of is, would you be able to live alone or live by yourself and as an independent adult in the US? Because if you're somebody who likes company all the time, it can be a little lonely over here for you sometimes. It will be. Like obviously, if you match into internal medicine, you have IMG friends all the time. But if you're an OBGYN where you're the only IMG every year, there are 4 of us in 4 years. So you will be alone. And they're from different countries, right? So you have barely have any common interest. So that's tough. So you have to be okay with the discomfort that a lonely life can give you. Is that you won't be like lonely all the time, but it will happen to you. So you should be okay with settling in, because it took me some time. Also, the weather, it's extremely cold, and seasonal affect disorder actually exists. We don't know because we are in India and Mumbai, or like wherever we are. It's so hot over there. But over here, when there is no sun for months, you will feel depressed and low. So you need to have your coping mechanisms and all. How do you want to take care of yourself? Your mental health regime should be in check. Have a therapist. Do skincare that I do. I love skincare, FYI. But yeah, point being that it is hard settling in at first, but it gets better eventually.
Okay, so I think that answers all the questions from the audience and also the questions that we wanted to ask. So
Yeah.
that was really an informative session. And so I would like to also thank Porus and Aryahi. They are with us, and they are the founding members of SIMSOG and also a part of the ED. So over to you, Porus and Aryahi, if you have any questions or anything that you want to talk to Animesh about, you can please go ahead.
Hello, thank you, Animesh. The session was absolutely wonderful. It's always amazing talking to you, and I'm so glad we could do this. I don't have any questions as for now. I think Kushi took up everything very well. But I'd love to stay in touch with you via Samsung.
Yeah, sure. I would love that as well. And Kushi, good job, good questions, and I love the play, the back and forth. I love it.
Thank you so much. I have also been passionate about OB since day one. When you said that, nobody knows what they want to take up in med school, I was like, oh, I have always been so clear about OBs that going to affect. Now I have to find things in internal medicine to do.
Yeah.